Barakat, Peter Beinart, and Nathan Thrall. But first, I dropped by the James Institute for Public Policy at Rice University in Texas to speak to its director, Djerejian, former ambassador to Israel and the author of Danger and Opportunity, an American Ambassador's Journey Through the Middle East. I began by asking for his assessment of America's role in the process over the last 20 years.
Well, America's role has been both as a catalyst and then as a party that has stood by over the last 20 years. But we have missed too many opportunities, and I believe the United States has not been actively engaged in the process in a meaningful way at various points over the 20 years to make a real difference. But to come to a final agreement, the issues are so profound that, and the differences between the parties still so wide, that without a strong American hand, I do not see the parties coming together to do it. So that's why I think the criticality of who? The President of the United States. Because without the President of the United States fully committed to Israeli-Palestinian negotiations, no matter how good his Secretary of State is, it's not going to happen.
It's been 20 years. So the record shows that with or without the President, the situation has only gotten worse for the Palestinians. And the Israelis have only settled more and more of the land. Hence, we can speak of failure?
We can certainly speak in failure to come to a final settlement. There's no question about it.
Don't you think that there was this original sin whereby the dissymmetry and recognition was that the representative of the Palestinian people will recognize Israel as a state, but Israel will only recognize the organization called the PLO?
Yes, there's always been, it's an asymmetric relationship between Israel and the Palestinians even today.
But shouldn't have that been the role of the United States to ensure that there's a certain symmetry between the Palestinians and Israelis?
Yes, and we tried hard. We tried hard for that, but we got a great deal of resistance in Israel not to accept the Palestinians on that equal footing.
But in this relationship, in this triangle relationship, the close relationship, the special of the special relationships, is that between the U.S. and Israel?
Yes, it's a very close relationship, as you know, a very strong relationship. But I think that because of the special relationship between the United States and Israel, and because the United States still remains a preeminent power in the world, that without a strong American hand, there will not be an Israeli-Palestinian agreement.
But the problem with that is that within Washington's clique or group of influentials on the Middle East policy, it's mostly friends of Israel.
Well, I think you have people who get hooked on to this Middle East process. I hate the word peace process. To me, it's like a food processing machine, you know, process for the sake of process. We have to move from conflict management to conflict resolution, from talking about peace to actually engaging in peace negotiations. That is the trick. And the Washington syndrome, if you will, has been to get so imbued with process that the big picture is lost. It's by design by those who advocate process for the sake of process to really not get anything done.
Right. And
to have the shadow of peace talks, but not the reality.
And that's what we have now. Lots of process and no peace. If there ever this will on the part of the American administration, will it be able to coerce or convince Israel to withdraw from the West Bank and East Jerusalem?
Let me put it this way. We just have to make a proposition to Israel it cannot refuse.
Which means?
Which means the President of the United States, President Obama, invites Netanyahu and Abu Mazen to Washington. Says, gentlemen, it is one of the most important issues in national security interests of the United States that you make peace. Here is my frame of reference. Here is an American terms of reference endorsed by the President of the United States on the key issues, territory, Jerusalem, refugees, whole thing. Given what you have described as a very special relationship between Israel and the United States, it's very hard for any Israeli prime minister to say no to an American president. But if we continue with a process and not negotiations and basically a stalemate, and the settlers continue, then a two-state solution will truly be elusive. The Israelis are primarily responsible for the settlements, not the United States.
But shouldn't the United States come out and say something about it?
Well, we have. We have in the past. We do in the current situation. But what we need is leadership.
Okay.
The terms of reference are there. History is defined by leaders. You know what we need in the Middle East? A man who's now in declining health. We need a Nelson Mandela.
You don't think that happened in 1993 then? Back to where the beginning
It was the beginning, yes. It was the beginning. Yes.
It looked like Rabin was going to be de Klerk, and it looks like Arafat was going to be Mandela.
That's right. And
20 years later?
Rabin was assassinated. That was a terrific blow for peace. And then the political leadership has been lacking on all sides.
I know, on the American side.
On all sides.
When will the United States say, we failed? Let's say.
I don't think that Washington will ever say that.